Hello again, everyone. Zack Attack is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for this Thursday night, March the 27th, 2014. The good news and the bad news. Bad news is there was a little more talk and a lot less action tonight. Not a lot of matches this evening, but the good news is what made up for a lack of good matches made up for the decent quality, especially our physically grueling main event involving James Storm and Duncan. And there was some stupidness. Samuel Shaw being suspended for a week for cutting Christie's hair. I know it's a stalker thing, but come on. I wish he like if he would get suspended for slapping her instead of her slapping him, come on. Like I would have accepted that, but for this cutting her hair, he done more menacing things than that. This creepy bastard storyline's going down quickly. But anyway, like I said, not a lot of action, like only like 3 or 4 matches, but still, the quality was decent. TNA is getting okay better. But TNA knows, like I said before, TNA is like the Detroit Lions. They have so much talent and so much potential, but they fuck it up every time by doing something stupid. But hey, that's TNA for you. Now, let's get on down to business. With the MVP, of course, the boss, TNA now, trying to make things right with Samoa Joe now. We saw what happened last week with Samoa Joe getting us where we thought was a fair title shot, with Abyss being handcuffed to MVP after Eric Young, who was supposed to be handcuffed to Abyss, got taken out. Even with, I think everybody knew there was going to be some shenanigans, even over this whole, this was to prevent interference with MVP being handcuffed to Abyss in the Joe Magnus match. It only made it more eligible for interference to happen, which it did. And of course, Magnus walked away, still the TNA World Champion. And of course, MVP still wants to make things right. They're trying to make it an even playing field. So as he was about to make an executive decision, like he like to call it, here comes Magnus along with Mr. Abyss. And Magnus says that Abyss doesn't work for you. He doesn't work for TNA. He's on the contract to me. I am his business person. And he's not allowed to wrestle unless I'm involved. And it's through me. And MVP's like, so, the only way Abyss will wrestle is if you're in it. Let's make it a triple threat match next week. You, Joe, and Abyss for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. So Joe came in saying that, so, it's going to be a handicap match. Then MVP, trying to make things right, trying to make it even. It's going to be fair. It's basically a handicap match. That's what Joe felt, because Abyss is going to side with Magnus. But it looks like Abyss, like I said, like I think MVP said it, he's like, Abyss knows that when the title's on the line, friendships step aside. And as we would see later on, I think that's closer to the truth. That's no farther from the truth, should I say. But as Joe was talking about, not getting an even opportunity with no interference, no bullshit for the title, here comes Eric Young, a guy who's been kind of been inadvertently sticking his nose in Joe's business. Because he's still got business with Abyss. Because like I said, he was the one that's supposed to be handcuffed to Abyss last week. And he was taken out. And Eric Young's like, listen, Joe, I want to try to make it even for you. I'm going to step in. I'm going to make this a fatal 4-way so I can take care of Abyss and let you get a fair shot against Mr. Magnus, Mr. Paper Champion. And MVP's like, you don't belong, Eric. And unfortunately, he's right. Listen, I like Eric Young. He said it best in his promo. He was giving a very passionate promo. He is the most entertaining guy in TNA, or as I refer to him, the Santino Morella of TNA. Comedic wrestler, entertaining wrestler. And he is true on something. He is true on mostly everything he said in that promo. The saddest thing but true thing about that promo is that he wasn't Knockouts Tag Champion. TNA. That's one of the what the fuck moments. Anyway, and even Joe's like, you're at the line, but you're not the head of it. Because of Eric's passion, especially during that speech, MVP did allow Eric Young to get involved in that fatal 4-way. But let Joe fuming. He's like, I want a one-on-one match, not a fucking fatal 4-way. I want a fair shot against Mr. Magnus. I'm going to beat up Magnus. And I got to beat you up, Eric. Then boom. They got into a little bit of a brawl. Referees had to pick him up. That led towards the setup for Joe and Eric Young later on in the evening. Between Eric Young and Samoa Joe. That match is set up through this promo. And, we've seen Eric's, and I think Eric said it all. He's been in Team Canada. He's been a superhero. He's with a leader of Ward Elite. And when he was Ward Elite, he was a very decent heel. He invented the television title. Well, I think, the Legend title became the television title. Or the international title, as Eric said. Like, only international people could compete for it. And he was a decent heel there, and he needs to be gritty again. He lost his edge. He's just too comedic. So it's kind of cool that brought it out of Eric, this segment here. Now on to our next situation. As MVP left the ring, his boys, the Wolves, won a match against Abyss and Magnus in a tag team form. So we would see that match next. As Abyss and Magnus would take on the Wolves. Of course, Eddie Richards. I always get the last names right. Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. Or Eddie Richards and Davey Edwards. I always get the last names wrong. Every time. It's always the opposite. But anyway, of course, the Wolves came in like a house of fire. I've always been impressed with these Wolves. Ever since they came into TNA, I've been applauding them. Being a great tag team. I think they'll get another shot and another win as tag team champions. That's going to be longer than a week. I'd see that someday. But as they'll go over the high-flying offense, of course, a blind tag to Magnus to Abyss. From Magnus to Abyss. Basically gave his team the devastation. And I think they're going for a double move. But then Abyss just beat the crap out of him. Double clothesline move. But another double move would come in handy later. As there were some cool spots involving the Wolves during the later half of the matchup after they got basically annihilated by Abyss in the later half of the matchup following the offensive fury from the Wolves. Abyss was going for a double choke slam, and I love what the Wolves did. They countered. They kind of monkey flipped out of it. Did their own little monkey flip counter, a cool little counter move. They just dominated over Abyss before taking him out of the picture. Getting back in the game as they take on the World Champion double team form. Great double team moves again. Once again, supporting my case that the Wolves need to have another man as tag team champion someday. They had a reign, but it lasted longer than a Kim Kardashian one-night stand with Kanye West. Sorry, I was trying to go for a joke there. Anyway, Magnus was left up in the ring as the Wolves just isolated him, and Abyss did not even bother to help him as he was set up in a leg lock by one of the Wolves, being Eddie, a single-leg Boston Crab, and Abyss saw and Magnus started tapping. So there you go. The Wolves got the victory, but Abyss did not accept losing well. He even stole Magnus's belt. He gave it back later. So he thought it was going to be a triple threat match or a handicap match. 2-on-2, basically. Well, I think Abyss may want the title for himself. Maybe some dissension between Magnus and Abyss, especially coming out as a result of this match. And it was going to really heat up the fire for the Fatal 4-Way match next week for the World Heavyweight Championship with Abyss involved. Abyss may be the benefactor. He might be the wild card here on what side he's going to choose. Speaking of sides to choose, we will all go on with our next segment involving Angel of Love and Velvet Sky. Last week we saw the Beautiful People reunion set up between Angie and Velvet after Angie came back 2 weeks ago and Velvet accepted the proposition for a Beautiful People reunion. They're trying to get Madison Rayne in. But Madison Rayne knew that if she would have joined Beautiful People, she would be belittled again. She would be the self-servant. Especially when Angelina said it. It's going to be Angelina Love, Velvet Sky, and Madison Rayne. The way she said it, belittling Madison. They're trying to settle things. It looked like they're going to settle things until Angie beat the crap out of Madison backstage. So Velvet felt torn, having to pick between two of her best friends. And she was kind of being forced to pick a side as Angelina would be in her first match back tonight against Miss Madison, and that Velvet would have to take a side. And Angelina called Velvet's bluff on her the edge anymore, but the holla, the whole beautiful people thing. So like I said, Velvet had to choose his side during the match, and we would definitely be seeing Velvet's true colors, and her side was chosen during that match between Angelina and Madison. Before that, we got involved in a little bit of an impromptu. It's not really a match. It was more like a brawl. I call it an unsanctioned tables match between Bobby Roode and Bully Ray. It was unsanctioned because there was no referee. It just happened. Bully Ray had a bunch of fans bring out tables. What is it? Occupy Impact? TNA, I've always said TNA's a rip-off WWE. They're trying to make the fans be involved. Like the WWE had the fans involved with the Yes Occupy Wall thing. Anywho, Bully Ray came out with all these fans, bringing out all these tables, wanting revenge on Bobby Roode after Bobby Roode did what he did last week to Bully Ray and Dixie's office being set up. Bobby Roode to be in Dixie's office, only get attacked. And it's kind of weird to see Bully Ray as face again, especially as this character, because we've seen, Brother Ray, Bully Ray, Bubba Ray, the Dudley Boys, Team 3D, face. But seeing Bully Ray, Bully's character, this specific character as a babyface, it's still kind of weird. But the fans are getting on to him. Of course, he wanted revenge on Roode tonight. And Roode was like, I don't want to fight tonight. He tried to pussy out, but then Bully Ray attacked him on the ring side area, brought him back to the ring and beat the crap out of him. It looked like a legitimate real match, but like I said, it was just a little bit of an impromptu thing. It was, like I said, it was unsanctioned. And there was some decent spots. Both guys attempted many times to put each other through a table. That's why I call it an impromptu, unsanctioned tables match. Because both times they're trying to put each other through tables they missed. Or in the case of Bully Ray, he was trying to kick Bobby Roode through the table, but his leg going through it instead of to Bobby Roode because Roode ducked out of it. And a leg and a hand were basically kind of weak points of Bully Ray. He hurt his hand at one point. He was trying to knife edge chop Roode against the table, and Roode ducked it. And Bully Ray chopped the table instead, kind of hurting his hand, which Roode kind of targeted. Then after Bully Ray kicked the table after trying to kick Roode through the table and Roode ducked, Roode focused on the leg. But then Bully Ray came, of course, bowing back up here and getting it down and trying to do the big move. Bully Ray was trying to go for a Bubba Bomb move. But, of course, Bobby Roode counted out of it. And Roode even tried to Roode bomb at one point. But then, of course, Bully Ray countered it. And then one other time, another attempt at the Bully Bomb. Bully Ray was trying to get the Bully Bomb through the table to Roode, but then Roode ducked out of it. And Bully Ray was going for a spear type move. Roode ducked it. Then Roode tripped Bully Ray through the table, bang, after he missed the spear move. And Bully Ray went through the table. So, there you go. Like I said, Roode sidestepped the spear from Bully Ray, and Roode sidestepped Bully to put Bully through the table. That was set up a match for next week between Bobby Roode and Bully Ray in a tables match, officially sanctioned tables match. But it's not a singles tables match. It's going to be a tag team tables match. Bully Ray will have a partner, Jeff Hardy, a.k.a. Willow. Roode's partner is EC3. Now, of course, these two have had no problems. Last week, we saw EC3 almost get squashed by Jeff Hardy, with Jeff Hardy going up the ladder and squashing EC3 at the chair attached to his leg like he did the Rockstar Spud before willowing out. Pun the pun. So tonight, we had a little concurring segment throughout the evening with EC3 and Rockstar Spud still clutching to his injured leg on the hunt for Willow. They found him, or should I say, Willow found them, as he would kidnap Rockstar Spud, and then EC3 would find Willow before getting his ass beat by him. That's what set up these two to face off as part of the tables match for next week. EC3 and Roode taking on Hardy / Willow and Bully Ray. A lot of matches made for next week. We had the Fatal 4-Way match made for next week. And we got Mr. Anderson against Sam Shaw next week in a straitjacket match and the possible in-ring return of the King of the Night, Kenny King. We've been seeing his promos for the last couple of weeks. We're also seeing a little promo about this Nux situation. Nux, formerly of Ace and Eights, being written back in TNA. This whole storyline, I don't know where it's going yet. We'll see how that goes. But now, on with the situation involving Angela Love and Madison Rayne. Of course, with Velvet Sky at ringside, trying to choose her side. She was looking like she was going to side with Madison for a second. Because I think Angelina just tossed Madison a few times outside the ring just to see if Miss Velvet would beat her up, which he never did until a little bit later on. It's an okay knockouts match to build up the whole Beautiful People reunion still, because later on as Angie and Madison Rayne came off like a wildfire, went off the bat, just pouncing on Angelina, wanting payback for the attack last week, and they just brawled it out between these two. A decent knockouts match. But like I said, with Velvet's interference, or lack thereof, getting involved, like I said, once again, they're trying to, like both Angie and Madison were trying to play the Velvet, trying to make her choose a side. But like I said, Velvet chose a side. As Angie got distracted, it looked like Velvet was helping out Madison, but then it was all a ploy. It was all set up. Bang! Velvet dropped Miss Madison with a DDT, rolled her back in the ring for Angie to get the pin on the Knockouts champ. So that means Velvet's once again still part of Beautiful People, but now she's heel again. I think we should have thought that Beautiful People, I think they were good baby faces, but I think Beautiful People were better as a heel. But it's kind of weird to see Velvet turn face quickly, go from face to heel quickly after the whole problem with Alpha Female and Chris Sabin. That never had a proper ending. So it's kind of stupid that, after the whole Sabin Velvet thing ended, now we got Velvet being a heel again. A little bit quickly here after the whole, like they could have done more with Sabin and Velvet in the Alpha Female, but hey, Velvet's a heel again with the Beautiful People. Once again, they're going to be trying to cleansing the world one ugly person at a time. All they need to do now is bring back the brown paper bags. So now the Beautiful People are back, and apparently we got an Angelina Madison feud. Probably set up a match at Sacrifice. We do have a pay-per-view coming up in April. So there could be a title match at Sacrifice involving Madison and Angelina. Speaking of title matches, a little bit of momentum for our TNA World title match. Two of the guys in the Fatal 4-Way would face off. Stemming from our opening segment, Samoa Joe taking on EY Eric Young. I'll give EY credit. He can be a comedic guy all he wants. He can be the silly, clowny, goofy, psychotic, and sometimes just plain crazy and out of his mind Eric Young. But when he can be a serious guy, just a serious wrestler, and really fight it out and fight for survival, which he had to in this match against Joe. He can fight for survival like the best of them. And he did a great job. He had some great moves in this match. I'll give EY credit. He gave the fight to Samoa Joe. I'll give EY loads and loads of credit. Loads and loads of credit for stepping up to Joe like that. But of course, the old saying goes, Joe's gonna kill you. Joe's gonna kill you. There you go. As EY was trying to prove that he is somewhat of a Superman guy, because he was Super Eric back in the day. Not Super Cena, but Super Eric. But anyway, as EY was trying to bring the fight to Joe, Joe was bringing his twice fight to Eric Young as EY was bringing to him. So we have EY trying to come, of course, Samoa Joe's big strength. He is called Samoan Submission Machine. He ain't called that for nothing, Samoan Submission Machine. So as Eric Young was trying to go for his big moves and everything, even slamming Joe at one point, going for a big elbow move, but then Joe caught him in the corner. He didn't set up the muscle buster, but he tried to set up the Nagina clutch, the rear naked choke. And Eric Young was trying to fight out of it. But Eric Young's fight to get out of it kind of backfired. He was trying to push off the rope because he was standing. It was a standing Nikita clutch. Because, Joe likes to go down to put on the Nikita clutch. Well, he went down because Eric Young kind of set it up himself to doom himself as he was trying to jump off the rope to break the hold. He jumped off and made Joe land on his back to get that Lakita clutch fully cinched in. As Joe was hiring the pressure on, referee Brian Hebner was raising Eric's hand as he was in the like 1, 2. It was kind of a questionable thing. Like Eric Young's arm, like 3. It was like his arm was up. His arm was up a little bit, but it went down. Even Hebner kind of debated that decision. Samoa Joe would win, but Eric Young getting knocked out. It was kind of a questionable call with Eric Young's arm being up and shit. So there you go. It was like kind of a weird situation there. But they also said Joe's shoulders were down. I didn't see that. That's what Hebner was debating. I didn't see that. Joe's arms being. I didn't watch it again, but I didn't see Eric Young's arm. I didn't see. Maybe both guys were pinned. Like Eric Young passed out and Samoa Joe's arm was on the ground for 3. I need to see that again. But anyway, Joe wins. Let's move on to the main event. It's James Storm against Gunner in an unchained match, as they call it. Wasn't a steel cage. It was basically a fight. And a fight it was. Like I said, it was not a lot of action tonight, but what made up for it was this great, decent, physically violent main event between these two guys. I thought it right off the bat as Gunner came down to the ring. James Storm ran wide at him. They brought out in the ramp to begin the match. And there was some cool little spots in this match. A lot of weapons were used. I wish they were used more. Like beginning of the match, the weapons were brought out. They were brawling outside the ring. And they didn't use the weapons till later on. But there were some cool spots. Even a table left over from the Bully Ray Bobby Roode board that wasn't broken. Some cool spots. They brought 2 trash can lids to the ring. They kind of bashed each other trash cans like back and forth. It's a pillow fight, TNA style, only involving trash cans. And James Storm just wailed Gunner with a vicious shot, the last hit with the trash can. There was another cool little spot with James Storm being suplexed off the top through 2 chairs, being bookended. But one chair was being a little fidgety. Wasn't really set up all the way. Blundered right there. He set up one chair, Gunner was setting up one chair, and then the other chair broke a little bit. But he still did the move anyway, even though it wasn't perfectly executed. It's like, one chair's broken? Fuck it, we'll just go with it. That's what wrestlers does. You know, off the fly. You know, some fucks up, you work with it. That's live television for you. Even though this is taped. Anyway, they could have fucking reshot it. But hey, TNA wants to make the illusion that it's live. Even though it's taped. Most of the time, these impacts. Anyway, another cool spot was Storm and Gunner was just brawling against each other. And they got a big spear from Gunner through the table outside. There was a table outside the ring. They speared through the rope and outside the ring. That was a cool move there. Cool little spot between these two guys. And just these guys just duked it out. These guys were just brawling inside out. You know, Storm went for his closing time backstabber. And of course, the last call, super kick. Not once, but twice. The first one didn't really connect. The second one connected. And these guys were just brawling. The last 5 minutes was the best minutes of the match. When they used the weapons, the chair. When Storm was doing a move, and I think it was going to get speared by Gunner, and Storm ducked, and Gunner went through the chair between the turnbuckle. That's another interesting spot. But after Storm got the super kick in, like I said, Gunner kicked out despite all the damage. Both Storm brought out a beer bottle. He brought out one beer bottle earlier. So that beer bottle was still left in the ring by the chairs and the turnbuckle. So Storm was going to get another bottle of beer from underneath the ring. So as Storm grabbed the second bottle of beer underneath the ring, Gunner got the first bottle of beer that Storm got earlier. It was a battle of the beer bottles. Kind of payback for Storm hitting Gunner's dad with the beer bottle last week. And it was full sweet revenge for Gunner as he hit Storm with the beer bottle. I don't think he got the full impact of Storm's head, but it still got the impact to knock out James Storm to set up the Hanger 18 and a 1-2-3 victory for Gunner following a hit to the head to Storm with the beer bottle. It was a physically grueling matchup. It should have been more violent, but it was still a very decent, brutal fight between these two guys. using a lot of good weapons. So there you go. Gunner gets the victory. As James Storm's medicine, his old tricks, were used against him. Of course, the smashing of the beer bottle. So there you go. That is it for my TNA Impact Wrestling review. Next week, we got some good matches. Should have some good matches booked for next week. Anderson and Sam Shaw for the straight jacket match. Samoa Joe, Eli, Abyss, and Magnus. Fatal 4-way for the TNA World title. And of course, tables match involving EY's good friends. Well, probably good friends. EC3, no. Hardy Willow and Bully Ray and EC3 and Bobby Roode. That's the tables tag team match next week. That is it for my review. Thank you all very much for watching. With that in mind, you've been attacked by the review from Zach. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, everybody. See ya. Yeah.